Okay, let me run something by you real quick. You've seen on my channel, my X10, you've seen how it's laid out. Mark 7 trimmer, Mr. Bullet feeder. I personally use the Hornady lock and load case activated powder measure only because it's more accurate than for rifle ammo. It's more accurate for me than the factory ones, and they sent me a new one, but they were plus or minus a grain, and this thing is generally plus or minus 3/10. But anyway, my number one rant using this is all set up for 223, by the way. My number one rant is filling this primer tube. Now I have the Vibra Prime, okay? But it's really not that great. I mean, does it work? Yes, but I always have to run a patch down these with alcohol, and I've really got to clean these out. It seems like I'm cleaning them out once, twice a week, and the primers still go down so far, and sometimes they cock or whatever, they tilt, and you think you're full, and then you touch on it, you take the tube out of the Vibra Prime, you touch on the primer sticking up, and they fall down, and you're only halfway. So you monkey around with that thing for 5-10 minutes before you finally get enough in the tube to fill this up. So if I was head of engineering at Frankfort Arsenal, as far as these X10s go, I would get some guys on making a primer mechanism, feeding mechanism, whatever you want to call this thing, to replicate what the Mark 7 has, the add-on. It's like $500. You've probably seen it if you've looked into the Mark 7. And you pour your primers in the top, it vibrates them, flips them the right way, sends them down the chute. They go on the disc, you know the whole routine. If I was in charge of Frankfort Arsenal, coming out with this bullet feeder, and I think it's feeding and seeding mechanism that they had, probably would have been the last thing on my mind. I'm doing bullet feeding here with the Mr. Bullet Feeder. I've got no problem. I do bullet feeding over on that 9mm press. I've got 2 X10s, you know. I do bullet feeding over there with some 3D printed bullet feeder I got on eBay and a 3D printed die. And I'm using the Frankfort Arsenal powder measure over there. So I'm doing all that. I didn't need them to waste time coming out with this bullet feeding contraption. They should have came out with this priming mechanism, automated priming mechanism, that's what I call it, like Mark 7, Lyman Mark 7. This motherfucker is the weakest link. When I'm filling up with powder, bam, I got a hopper, I dump a whole fucking pound in, and the pound sits up here, and as I use it, it comes down out of the hopper. Takes me a minute or less. When I fill up with brass, 3 minutes or less. I throw the brass in a tub, I spray the lubrication, I shake that shit around, dump it in. I can fill this thing up less than 3 minutes. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, 5 minutes at the most. Same with the bullet feeding. I've got a hopper. I got a thing here. I got a bin. It sits right there. When that runs dry, it don't run dry, but when it gets really low, I just stand there, handfuls, bam, 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 3 handfuls, that thing's full. 2 minutes or less. But when you fuck with this priming mechanism and you're doing the Vibra Prime and you're fucking around with this and you're fucking around with that, And sometimes, like I said, the primers tilt in this tube and they don't sit. And then sometimes you think that they've all went down in, you take it off, you put the pin in, you look, there's still primers in it. They didn't all come out. This is the weakest link in my reloading experience on this press. It is the weakest link. It's the most time consuming. I want to see that in 2025. I would like to see that some sort of priming, automated priming, or vibrating priming, whatever you want to call that thing. I would like to see that incorporated on this press for 2025. That way I can stop. Oh, I have primers. I take the sleeve off. I dump them. There's 100. As I'm going and it vibrates them down in, like what you see with the Mark 7, you can stop again and put 200 on. And now you got like 150, 175 after it takes a few minutes. And you can just go and go and go. And when that thing starts to get low, you can dump some more in. Let it do the work. Let it do the work. Your job here is to keep your eye on all this shit and pull the handle. That's your job. And let it feed the primers properly. And that's how I feel about that. That's the only thing I hate about this press. When I'm sitting here loading and I've got to fill this up, I'm getting low, you can see. As soon as I got to fuck with this thing, I think to myself, man, I should have just got a fucking Mark 7. And those accessories are already on the market. And while these are fantastic presses, this thing just runs. I mean, I had some issues when I first got around to setting this 223 one up. I had a few issues, but once I got it straightened out, your wife could run this press and she don't know shit about this thing. It just runs flawlessly. My nephews run this press for me while I'm in here cleaning guns. Just boom, 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 slamming this out. So anyway, that's just sort of my only rant about this press is I just hate filling this thing up. I dread filling it up. So if Frankfort Arsenal's out there, I really hope that they got something in the works. I really hope they do. I'm not quite saying it would drive me to get rid of these 4 Mark 7s, but I don't know. One day maybe I just get pissed off enough filling this up that that's what I do. I cannot stand filling these tubes up and dumping them. So, all right, guys, we'll catch you in the next one.